Hi, folks. Welcome to Unit 2, Module 2, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be going over two important things in this video. And so that way, hopefully, you'll see how the two kind of sync up and link together. So, first things first, let's look at the prompt. Then we're going to be talking about thesis statements. So if we're looking at this prompt, it's very much a continuation of the last uh, paper. So last paper, we looked at family and how family may impact your ability to be successful. Now we're going to be looking at gender and looking at how gender might impact your ability to be successful as well. And so the question I would look at here is what I consider the prompt question. And this is going to be important later because when we talk about thesis statements, basically when you answer this question, you are answering the thesis statement or making your thesis statement for this paper. And that question is, are there additional obstacles that are put on folks because of their gender? And do these obstacles prevent them from achieving success? So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this paper. And so when you answer this question, you will have your thesis or at least a rough draft of that thesis. And so it's important to kind of focus on this as well. Let's look at the prompt in terms of uh, like what's required of it too, not just the thesis part of it. But we're going to be reading a couple articles. I'm sorry, one in Windy City Full of Meat by Tina Fey. It's a chapter out of her autobiography, which is pictured here. Um, she is going to kind of be like Wes Moore was in the previous unit, someone that we can use and point to in terms of giving us a specific example. The Lady Vanishes is a podcast episode we're going to be listening to by Malcolm Gladwell. And it's another kind of specific example where we have two folks who are impacted or their success is impacted by the gender and how people relate to them. And we're also going to be including research. I see here that this picture got in the way, but you need to include two outside sources. And please look at the how to research um, uh, little to do to see what sort of research you'll be including in here. Um, so yeah, that's basically it in terms of the paper. This one's 4 pages. You have to use all the readings plus two outside sources. And in a lot of ways, I think it's very similar to um, the previous essay we worked on. Let's talk about thesis statements. If you look at the to do under thesis statements, it has a link to this web page about thesis statements. I think this is really great. Kind of overview on like what theses are, what they do, how to answer the prompt question with your thesis, and yeah, that's sort of a good thing. And I just want to kind of supplement it because look, me recapping it for you is probably not going to be that useful. So I just want to say that when I'm looking at thesis statements, and this is something that I mentioned in the prompt, that I kind of think of them as having two parts, a position and support. So one of the things here, they mention this idea of position, right? Of taking a stance or a position on something. And so that's the part of the thesis where you're making an argument, right? And that's why I think the word position is so great at describing this, is that it allows us to sort of uh, understand that a thesis statement has to take a position. And so when you're writing your thesis, you know, whatever the way you answer this, like, gender, there are no extra obstacles, or there are, or what those obstacles are may be. That's kind of up to you to answer, but that's a position, and so it's the argument part of your paper. This part here where it says support for your claim is basically adding in reasons or support for that position you're taking, right? And so to me, that kind of fits into the so what part of the test here that they mention, where you have reasoning or support, or a so what, like why is this, you know, why is this true? Why is this position important? That's what that does. Um, yeah, so anyway, we're focusing on thesis statements a little bit more in this because, the first paper, there's all this other stuff that can be overwhelming. So in this unit, this module, we're going to be kind of getting into other things like thesis statements and introductions and things like that to kind of help make sure that we're developing our argument. Um, so yes, so take a look at this. And at the end of the day, when you're thinking about writing your thesis statement for this essay, remember you're answering this question and that your thesis should have a position, take a stance or position on this question, and also have support to back that up or give us a reason why we should care about this particular position. Lastly, just about thesis statements, there are some samples in the file section of class, and all of those, again, as I mentioned in the previous unit, that those are all kind of from the CB range, usually on the lower end of the scale. So you might note that they have a position, or maybe their position is clear, but they don't really have any support for it, or maybe their position is just kind of unclear. It could be a lot of different things. So take that into consideration when looking at those samples, if you do, because they are not perfect. They're not meant to be this ideal thing. They're in a way for us to kind of break down and look at, like, oh, things that might need to, these folks need to work on something. All right, so that's it. So again, if you have any questions about this unit, the prompt, the thesis statements, any of that, please let me know. I'm always here to help via email or whatever means of communication works best for you. Bye, everyone. Have a good day.